So good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for our e-commerce platform comparison. I am Cassidy Delorto Blackwell, and I work with the Land Connection in Champaign, Illinois, and I will be your host for this session, as well as the next 3 sessions, all comparing e-commerce platforms. So over the next several weeks, we will be comparing 3 different softwares. Food for All, Local Food Marketplace, and Open Food Network. In each session, we will be joined by representatives from each of these platforms, as well as folks that actually use them for their farm or food business. So this week, we are joined by Cami Semick from Food for All, who will be joined by Lorrie Dahlen of the Marshfield Farmers Market out in Massachusetts later in our session. We'll be joined by Amy McCann from Local Food Marketplace and Liz DeRuntz from the Leaf Food Hub down in Carbondale, Illinois. And we'll be hearing from, pardon me, Lorrie Wayne of the Open Food Network, who will be joined by Sherry Marr of the Brattleboro Winter Farmers Market. I apologize, Liz. I know I wrote down that it's DeRuntz, and I believe I mispronounced it. Liz DeRuntz of the Food Hub will be joining Amy McCann, and Sherry Marr will be joining Lorrie Wayne. Just quickly, although I'm sure by this point we know the Zoom rules, I would like to remind you to please keep your microphone muted unless you are speaking. If you don't know where that button is, you can find it at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It should be all the way on the left-hand side, shaped like a little microphone, and when you click it, it goes mute. If you do have burning questions during our session, please do drop those into our chat box, and you can find the chat box also at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It looks like a little word bubble from a cartoon. If you click on that, it will open a separate box that will allow you to type questions to the entire group here or to secretly type questions to your friends. So if we are in the midst of discussing a platform and you have a burning question, please do drop that into the chat box. We will have time after each presenter to ask questions, and then we will have a whole lot of time at the end to focus on answering your questions. Today I am joined by Jacqueline Evers, who is managing our technology, letting folks into the waiting room and monitoring that chat box. Both Jacqueline and myself work for the Land Connection, a nonprofit agricultural support organization located in Champaign, Illinois, and serving communities throughout Illinois, the Midwest, and the entire United States, primarily through these sorts of virtual activities. Is how we expand our reach. We offer training, resources, and support to farmers, food businesses, and eaters so that together we can all realize a more just, equitable, and sustainable food system that we know is possible. If you'd like to learn more about us, please do visit us online at thelandconnection.org. And while you are there, please sign up for our newsletter where you can find out about all of our upcoming activities. I'd like to give a very big thank you to Illinois Farm Bureau for making this series of webinars possible. This is being offered as part of their monthly business development series, excuse me, through the Live Local, Shop Local conference. If you have not checked out what else is available through this series, please do go to their website. There's a lot of good offerings. I would recommend it. And then if you also just are interested to see what Illinois Farm Bureau is up to, please just check out their main page at ilfb.org. Additionally, the Land Connection is grateful to our soil builder sponsors, Compure Financial and Illinois Farm Credit, for supporting our work. So thank you very much. And now I think we can get on with the show. If I can stop Sharing my screen. There we go. Okay, so let me just give you a sense of how this is all going to work out. We're going to give each platform and producer pair around 20 minutes apiece to share their experience with the software, to highlight any of the unique or helpful features and explain how it has worked for their business. We'll follow each pair with about 5 minutes of Q&A from y'all. And then we'll move on to the next one. And at the very end, we'll probably have about, I'm gonna guess we'll have around half an hour to do more questions and just chat about what we've learned. So this week, we are going to be starting with Local Food Marketplace and the Leaf Food Hub. So please join me in welcoming Amy McCann from Local Food Marketplace and Liz DeRuntz of the Leaf, that stands for Little Egypt Alliance of Farmers Food Hub, located in Southern Illinois and Carbondale. So please take it away.
Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you so much. I'm gonna get myself sharing my screen here. Hopefully this will be super smooth. There we go. I think we're right there. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for having us and for organizing this, Cassidy and Jacqueline and all of the team members there at Land Connection. It's really a big honor to be here. My name is Amy McCann, and I'm the CEO of Local Food Marketplace, and Liz DeRuntz is here as well, the operations manager from Leaf Food Hub in Carbondale, Illinois. Both of our contact information is here. And encourage you to reach out to myself or anyone on our team if you have questions about the platform, about how it might work in various circumstances. I'm sure Liz is okay answering questions about how they work with us, what it's like to work with us, what works, what doesn't, and anything specific to Leaf. But anyway, appreciate everybody being here. What we're going to do is a quick intro to our platform, which I'm going to cover. I'm also going to give you a really quick behind the scenes look at the platform. And then I'm going to turn it over to Liz at Leaf, who's going to talk about how they utilize the platform and share just some tidbits about their unique aspects of their business. And then, of course, we'll do some questions. I see lots of familiar faces and names in this session, and it's really great to see you all. But just for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we started our company in 2009, myself and my business partner. Our aim from the very beginning, which remains the same today, is to help relocalize and connect our food system. And of course, in order to make that happen, small farms have to be profitable. And we enable that through technology. We actually ran our own food hub for several years in those early days. And that was really how the technology was born. But today we are widely considered the leading food hub platform. We serve food hubs, cooperatives, and many farms across the US and Canada, about 350 food hubs as of right now in online markets, covering over 12,000 farms and producers utilizing the platform actively. Of course, we work with food hubs, cooperatives, lots of farmers markets. Many of them joined us over the last 18 to 20 months, and many other online markets as well as various farms and producers that use the platform to sell their own products directly. The different avenues that types of sales include wholesale, retail, CSA, farmers markets, and farm stands. So any of your in-person sales. So really covering all of your sales channels, and you're going to hear me sound like a little bit of a broken record about that. In that is one of the key things that we focus on, so that farms and those that serve them, like food hubs, focus as much as possible on gaining sales and those customer relationships and making their business work versus on the technology side. So we're all about integrating your sales channels and cutting out as much admin time as possible. And really creating that customized experience for all of your different types of customers. So when you have different sales channels, generally speaking, folks aren't working with each of them in the same exact way. And so what we provide is a way for you to customize how you work with your CSA customers versus your wholesale customers versus maybe your just typical retail a la carte customers. All of those can have different order minimums, delivery options, or pickup options, all the way down the line, all those different aspects of how you work with them in a different way. What this creates is a really scalable product. So as you scale your food hub, your online market, your farm, generally folks tend to add sales channels in order to do that, to eliminate risk, to add new opportunities. It creates a scalable product because we cover all of these aspects in a very complete and comprehensive way. So we work with folks that are in sort of startup mode, like we did with Leaf when they first got started a number of years ago, all the way to really mature hubs that have been hubs before the word food hub was really a term that we used. And so, we have folks pushing $10-15 million in sales through the platform a year. So very scalable. We ask our customers all the time, why do they work with us? And I'll be interested to hear, I'm sure Liz will share some of these details. What most of them say is our team, both our experience as practitioners in the space. Everyone in our team comes from having worked at a farm, a food hub, or a farmer's market. And we really aim to bring people into our team that have a passion for making local food happen. And then we work with them to gain all the other skills that they might need to support a technology. And that has proven to be a really great way to support our customers because we talk their language, we understand what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We also listen to our customers, and that is a huge driving force of what we do. And so that's created a very comprehensive platform that's proven, that's used in all sorts of different models and scenarios, and you name the local food scenario, and almost certainly it has been tried or utilized in our platform. And so we've built out a lot of functionality to make all those different things happen. It's also white label, which you will see here in a few moments. The idea is that we are not going to be a household name with your customers. That should be you. And so we create a white label solution that matches your branding. And so what is front and center to your customers is not us, but you. And so in many cases, your customers won't even know that we exist. They'll think that you just have a shopping cart page on your website. You also, and super importantly, you own your own data and your web presence. We think that's really important in creating a just local food system, that the folks that have done all the work to make it happen, they own the data, they own their destiny and the information that's being produced. We use it just to support our customers as well as to just measure how we're doing and making sure we're making progress on behalf of our customers and enabling them to grow. We also don't charge percentages of sales or transaction fees. We just have flat pricing for the use of the platform and aren't placing limits on the number of customers or subscribers or what have you that you're serving with that platform. You just license what you need. All right, I'm going to do a very quick view behind the scenes here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you is a very quick storefront. This is an actual live storefront. A customer of ours that uses the platform in New Jersey as a food hub. And these are the products that they sell, and I can scroll through here and see all the different things that they offer and the products. They've uploaded all these images and have their prices and all the information here. So as you can see, it's totally branded. I'm going to do a demo though on my demo site, which has our brand on it, but like to show folks an actual branded site. The shopping experience is really simple and clean. It probably looks familiar to you in that lots of similar experiences that you see out there. We do some pretty unique things though. One thing that folks really like is the ability, especially if they're doing wholesale or certain types of sales where folks like a more sort of list-oriented shopping experience. So this is just one example where you can have that experience be different for a wholesale or a certain buyer versus a different type of buyer that might be a more visual type of buyer that wants to see larger photos of your products. They can also, since we're talking Food Hub, you've got options to filter out the producers that they like to buy from. So they can filter out the farms that they have a relationship with and see the products that just those producers are offering and add those items to their order. Okay. Other than that, it's going to be a really familiar shopping experience. We do support a lot of deep functionality around SNAP and double up food bucks and other things along those lines that a lot of our customers, particularly farmers markets and direct market farms as well, that are utilizing these days as well. So folks can filter their list and then of course in the checkout can see their totals for SNAP eligibility and things like that as well. Okay, since this is very short, I'm going to pop us over to the admin side of things as well. Just a couple of things here. First of all, here's our dashboard that summarizes just kind of where you sit with all of your sales right now. And, you can see it, look at different summaries and sales breakdowns just to kind of keep your finger on the pulse, as well as your sales revenues and accounts receivable, profits, etc. All of that information, we like to keep that front and center. The system's also going to enable you to keep in touch with your producers. You've got a complete producer roster here. It allows you to email them, send them all their pick tickets. The system will automate a lot of that for you as well. But it gives you lots of tools to interact with them in a comprehensive way rather than sort of hunting around your email to communicate with your producers. You can do that all within the system and it'll communicate with them directly. The system does allow you, of course, to give access to those producers to manage their own products, receive communication from you, and print out labels and harvest lists and pack lists. So they each get their own unique login to manage their product availability, to harvest their products, and update their availability right from the system. So all of that is available here for your producers to interact with the system. If you're a food hub that maybe your farms aren't logging in, or maybe you like to you've got a more, lots of different types of buyers and you want to customize pricing and things along those lines, you can also use our admin availability to see all the products coming from all your different producers, and you can customize pricing to those different types of buyers. So I can have one price for my grocery buyers. I can have a different price for my distributors. I can override the standard price that the system is coming up with, and it gives me an updated target margin. So lots of tools in here for that purpose. Since we have such a sort of tight time frame, what I want to do now is kind of take us back to turn this over to Liz. And Liz, I will drive for you so you don't have to start sharing your screen, but I'm going to go ahead and have Liz just kind of tell you all a little bit more about how they utilize the platform. So Liz, thanks so much for being here.
Sure. Thank you so much. As Amy has said, my name is Liz DeRuntz. I am the operations manager for LEAF. LEAF stands for Little Egypt Alliance of Farmers. And where Little Egypt comes from, we are at the bottom part of Illinois. If you are in Illinois, I've heard often that anything south of 80 is considered Southern Illinois, but we are actually 5.5 hours from Chicago, but only 40 minutes from Paducah, Kentucky. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we are in Illinois. We are a cooperative of 18 small farms here in Southern Illinois. We serve 5 counties currently in our area. We really don't have much of a physical location, which I think is kind of maybe a bit unusual for some. We really are a co-op in that we really work together. Every Thursday we come together and we package together and distribute together. And we have the usual things that you might find in a lot of the online stores. Of course, we have seasonal vegetables, mushrooms, baked goods, local honey, goat's cheese. We have a wide variety of protein from eggs, bison, beef, chicken, lamb, pork, and actually goat. But I just wanted to highlight just for a minute some of the unique things that we have. We do have sourdough bread and bagels. One of our makers, she moonlights as a baker. She's actually a professor at the local university. Another of our farms, since we are so far south, they are able to grow ginger and turmeric. A third farm specializes in drinking vinegars, which are also called shrubs. If you imagine apple cider vinegar, it's like that, but it actually tastes good. And another of our farms has olive oil that she infuses with her own herbs. So for LEAF, this is our 5th year as an online store. And I will say that if we would not have found Local Food Marketplace 6 years ago, I'm really not sure that we would have made it to 5 years. It has been a blessing for us, as it has really helped us along the way. So how we use it. So as I had said, we are an online store. We've kind of vacillated between what package we use. Even though we're in our 5th year, we actually use the starter package because it really offers almost everything that we need. We have added on with the e-commerce module, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But that's one of the things that we do love about Local Food Marketplace. It's like, well, we were doing it this way. Is it okay if we switch back? And it's been, they've really been there every step of the way, as we have changed and grown. But right now we're still sitting with 1 distribution day per week. We're hoping to expand to 2 next year, fingers crossed. And we have in that 5 county area that we cover, we have 11 pickup locations. And during COVID, we started doing home deliveries in the Southern Illinois area. So now I want to tell you, so why? What is the why for us? First and foremost, for our producers, it's been the fact that the platform is extremely easy to use and it's very streamlined. The average age that we have for our farmers is 58. And when we were starting the process, a lot of them were very nervous about doing it. They weren't sure that they would be able to handle it on their own. But now so many of them feel very empowered by it because they know that they're in charge of how much they list, and they can make changes if they need to. If they go out and walk the field and determine that they're going to have a lot more, or maybe even a lot less, they can make those adjustments. And also, I think I've had many of them tell me that they love it because it reduces their harvest waste to 0. I mean, they know how much they need to harvest for LEAF every single week, and the traditional market, you're kind of going, you don't know how much you're going to sell, maybe you bring too much, too little, but they really appreciate that aspect of the platform. For our customers, the convenience, of course, of shopping online. We have a lot of our customers that I've noticed lately they go as soon as the storefront opens, they're there, they jump on and they'll buy those little special things that they need, maybe that we had highlighted in the Mailchimp for the week, or we'd put on social media. And the nice thing about it for the customer is that they can, pick a few things, they can come back, they can add. It's really simple. It's really simple for the customer side of it also. For me, as the market manager, as the operations manager, it's the little nuances that I love. I love that I don't have to send the pick list. It just happens automatically. The market closes at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, 8:15, boom, it goes out. Everyone knows what they need to do for Thursday. The packing list saves everyone time. It creates labels that are really useful for me, because some of our producers aren't able to come to pack. So I end up having to, print out their labels and make sure pull the inventory. So it's been really, really useful. And the reports that they have are quite comprehensive. I mean, the accounting reports that we have available to us allow us to really sift through, the huge amount of data and just offer just really different ways of looking at things. I'm actually in the process of writing a very large grant, and it has been extremely useful for that, so that I don't have to go back and try and hand calculate anything. It's just really all in there. And actually on that point, last week, I was contacted by the local hospital, which we had done a pilot program 3 years ago. And they said, when we were doing that pilot program, we realized now that we kind of forgot to determine how much produce we had purchased through you, because we want to determine weight, which could then give us information on serving sizes that they had provided. And because of all these reports and because of all the information that we have access to, and it's our information, I was able to easily give that to them now, so that when they're doing upcoming reports, they'll have that information. So in regards to what we're using, actually, Amy can go back. I'm not quite done with that one. Sorry. So we use the e-commerce, route distribution, and the subscription. I just want to talk a little bit about each one. I love the e-commerce because it has streamlined the process for us in terms of using credit cards. When we first started doing that, it seemed like that was going to be really, really daunting. It just isn't. It's just so simple to use. Our customers love the fact that we can do promo codes. And then also there's the Mailchimp integration. So previously, I'm cutting and pasting, into Mailchimp, and now it's just it just takes care of itself. I don't have to do anything. It's really wonderful. And I don't have to worry about missing people and making sure that they're getting that weekly newsletter. So I see 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to jump ahead to the last, which is, for us, relationships are really key. Sorry, I'm all over the place. So, Amy has been there since the beginning. I mean, Amy is the CEO, but I know that if I have an emergency, I can pick up the phone and call her. She is there for me. And they're just good people, at the other end of the line. They understand our questions. As she was saying previously, she's done an excellent job of finding people for her team that understand the questions that we have, or maybe, if they didn't have the background, in working in this area, they may wonder why, why do you want that on your label? Or, what does that matter? I mean, they get it. And so when I'm asking questions, I really feel like they understand and that they are there for us. So yeah, we appreciate everything that they do for us every single week. So yeah.
Thank you, Liz.
Is there one more? Okay, that's it. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, just the last, if anybody would like any other information, we do personalized demos. We have weekly webinars. Just shoot us an email or visit our website. There's lots of different ways you can sign up for webinars or demos there, as well as access all of our online materials and guides of, best practices and lots of different customer profiles as well. So thanks so much, Liz. I appreciate you contributing here. Cassidy, should I stop sharing then for right now? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Or
could
wait for
you
some
can leave it up there for
questions.
just a second.
Okay,
And we'll see if
perfect.
we have any
Okay.
questions. I did see one question come through the chat.
Okay.
Interested if you have a mobile view, and I'm gonna say that that question is probably gonna apply to all of our platforms. So would you do you have are you mobile friendly?
Yeah, the entire platform, customer side, admin side, producer is all, it's called responsive design.
Mhm.
So the system will detect what size of screen you're on, whether you're on your phone or a tablet or a computer, and display the information according to the size of screen. So you can best see that if you kind of pop onto the storefront and it just sort of automatically resizes itself. So, and that is throughout the entire system. Yep.
Excellent. And we have one from Eric. They ask, does local food marketplace ever take on any risk as it relates to products being sold, aggregated and delivered through the platform? More specifically, have you ever had any of your 350 customers request a certificate of insurance or MOU to try and share some of the liability in fulfilling and handling their food products?
So we don't touch the product. We don't distribute the product ourselves. It's really a platform that our customers use to make those things happen. So from that standpoint, we don't assume the risk of, contamination or anything along those lines. That said, of course, we ourselves carry a whole bunch of different insurances, which seem to multiply by the year, related to security and privacy and things along those lines, and product quality and such. So, but if we're talking about the product itself, we are not taking responsibility for accuracy of delivery or the listing of the product or something along those lines, because we're really just providing the platform for that product to get to the customer. It does have lot tracking, traceability, things along those lines that our customers utilize to meet like gap requirements and other requirements that their customers demand of them. But yeah, that's kind of where our sort of responsibility ends, is with providing the product that our customers use. Yep. Hopefully that answers the question.
I believe that it did. And there's one last one. Nope. Yep. Eric says, great. It did. Do you have a multi-vendor payout structure, or are all funds processed to one business vendor account?
So we have when a customer purchases, they pay once for their entire order. So if they ordered from 17 farms, one payment, the system on the back end is tracking what each producer is owed and farmer is owed for that week sales or 2 weeks of sales or whatever your payout structure is, because each hub that we work with, some do it right away, each week, some do it once a month, some every other week. It's really up to you. It tracks that and gives you a tool to calculate, and gives you a total of what each producer's owed. Some folks use like an ACH tool to automate that payment processing or distribution of funds, I should say, to the vendors. So yeah, good question though, Keith. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Liz. It's been great to hear from you, and we will move on, but we'll come back to y'all at the end for more questions. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Let me see. I'm trying to do fancy things with the video and it's not working. Okay, so I believe we are ready to move on to our next pair. Lorrie Wayne with Open Food Network and Sherry Marr with the Brattleboro Winter Farmers Market in Vermont. I apologize. I want to drop that first R so badly, but I see it there. So thank you for joining us, and I can hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Cassidy. And thanks, Amy. It's so nice to be with you both, Amy and Cami. And I'm very happy to be here with Sherry too. Sherry and I had a little conversation a couple days ago talking about the Open Food Network, and I think it went for about an hour. And I'm pretty sure I could talk about OFN for several days straight. So we're going to try to keep it tight. I am Lorrie Wayne. I'm a former organic farmer. I've managed farmers markets. I've managed and started food hubs. And I'm really just kind of all about local food. About 3 years ago, I discovered the Open Food Network and kind of fell in love. And I've been working with OFN for that long. We are the Open Food Network is actually a global community of about 20 different organizations all over the place. And we are, for folks who these words are meaningful to, we're an open source platform cooperative. For other folks, what that means is that we have groups of people all over the world who are sharing the cost and the care and the development of a common program that everybody gets to use. And it's specific to every country, so it's quite customizable. Some of the advantages to that, in addition to just being able to scale, are that we have lots and lots of languages available. And there is always somebody awake who's doing OFN. It's really amazing. Really, I think there's like 1 hour during a week when there isn't someone actually working during regular work hours working for OFN. So it's a vibrant and really busy community. We're always improving the software. Let's see, OFN started in 2014 in Australia and England at the same time. And then they found each other. It was pretty funny. So it's been collaborative and cooperative from the very start. And it started in the US in about 2018, just about a year before I joined. So we were ready when COVID hit, and just like anybody else, we had 1,800% growth every week or something like that. And I'm really happy to say that we scaled really nicely. And it's been really exciting to see so many people discover the Open Food Network. And one of the people who discovered the Open Food Network, I'm happy to see, is one of my favorite users, and that's Sherry Marr from the Brattleboro Winter Farmers Market. Sherry has been with the Open Food Network for a couple of seasons now, kind of one of our earlier folks to jump on board. And I'm, by way of introduction, I'd just like to say that she is such an amazing force and such a great partner for us. That's really kind of the way OFN works. We're very much, kind of all in this together. With this job of feeding our communities. Yeah, so Sherry, I'm just going to hand it over to you, and thank you for coming. And maybe you could talk about how you found OFN and why you made the decision. There's obviously some amazing platforms out there, and what your experience has been, and anything else you want, but we can't talk for an hour. We're not allowed to.
Okay,
so,
I promise on that. Thanks so much, Lorrie.
Okay.
So I have to say, I'm equally excited to have been working with Lorrie for the past, I don't know, umpteen months now since we got going with this. So just for a little background for me, I've been managing the Brattleboro Winter Farmers Market, which is in southeastern Vermont, since it opened in 2006. And I've been involved with the Vermont Farmers Market Association, and heard a lot about online platforms and wanting to have online farmers markets for years. And I was like, no, we can't do that. That's not a farmers market. Well, when COVID came along, we had to find an alternative. And I was extremely grateful that there were so many options out there. One of our vendors, who's part of the equivalent of a board for our market, had already done a lot of research and had found Open Food Network. And I started doing some research and of course heard his recommendations. So I started looking at Open Food Network along with the others that I did. And I think that one of the things that really spoke to me was the mission. Our market is sponsored by a local nonprofit, Grassroots, that's all about sustainability. And I just felt like the mission that I read at Open Food Network was an incredible match to that. So that was one important piece. And there was a lot of flexibility in the platform, both in terms of cost and setup. It was donation based. You basically went by, what you could manage and, what you felt the value was that you were getting from the platform, which was really pretty incredible. And when we started looking at this, what I knew I wanted was really true shopping under one roof. The markets in Vermont that I had been hearing about were going to platforms, and many of them, some of them were going platforms, many of them were doing what I called the hodgepodge approach, which was they put up a page on their website and showed you all the different ways that the different producers in their market were available. You could email this one, you could phone that one, you could text this one, you could go on that one's website, and you could do all this stuff. And they weren't having a lot of success with online ordering. And I thought, well, that's not going to work. So we have to do something different. So we started looking to have an under one roof platform, and OFN certainly gave us that opportunity. It was convenient for our shoppers. One of the things on some of the other platforms that I looked at, I didn't see some of these features, and now I know they're really complex and maybe some of the features are there, but I didn't stumble into them in my look. There were filters that enabled customers to search by category, to search by producer, and that was really important for our customers. We had a market that had about 20 different producers that were going to be on board, and quite a range of products. And so in setting it up, each producer did the work of onboarding their products, and that's all they had to do. They had to set up as producers and put in all their products and figure out pricing and all of that. And then as a hub, we handled all the rest of it, which was really great because that gave us the ability to have control over order cycles and make sure everybody that was supposed to be in was in, and kind of check in on things and check in with them beforehand so that we caught some errors that didn't need to happen or didn't happen because we were watching. So that was a really, really helpful piece. It was relatively easy for those vendors to onboard, and I was really pleased. I thought I was going to have a lot of holdouts on it and folks that were just not going to participate. And just to give you the background, when we started this, we started looking in August to get ready because our market season starts in November. So we were looking in August to try and get people on board. And I knew I had some, older Vermont farmers that were not necessarily so interested in getting into the online piece. And the market opened for 3 weeks with the curbside option available, but it was 3 weeks into the season that we basically said, no, the numbers are not good for COVID. We need to pivot. We're not going to open the door. We don't feel that it's safe for us and safe for our customers. And so that 3-week trial really had us in the place to take our market 100% online. And the customers, I think there was a little resistance along the way, but by the time we made that pivot, every one of our producers was on board, where they weren't at the beginning. So that was really exciting to me. And the customers slowly found that it was a whole lot easier to do that than what they might have thought to begin with. And so we saw sales just sort of really climbing pretty impressively through the beginning of that 100% online operation. So we were pretty happy about that. Let's see. I have to say the support and responsiveness from Lorrie and from OFN in general was really great, and it really helped make it possible for us to do this. And there is a tremendously impressive and helpful user guide right online, so you can pretty much just jump right into it and do a search and find whatever it is that you're looking for. I want to figure out how to do pricing. I want to figure out how to do order cycles, whatever it is, you put that in and you get all the information right there that you can find about it. The flexibility too was really impressive to me, and it made it work for us. We were a hub the first year that we used it, which meant, as I said, we controlled everything and it was all shopping under one roof. This season, we are using the group function so that it is basically each vendor will have their own little store. We're linking to that, and people can literally shop, pay for products ahead of time and just come pick them up at the market. And that has been a real important piece for us this year, because we know there are people who will still want to utilize that, and this gives us that ability to do it. But it takes a lot of the, because we're going to be running an in-person market, it takes a lot of the work of that online piece off of our plate and puts it back into each producer's hands, which we're pretty happy about, because there was a good bit of work in doing it. The other part of the flexibility that was really helpful for us was finding creative ways to do things within OFN. I happened to see a post that somebody in the users group made about scheduling. And when we were doing our curbside, we were struggling to figure out how we could have people coming, not all at the same time, but spread them out through the day. And we were able to create a product, if you will, in our store that was a pickup time. And we put how many we want. We don't want any more than 20 people to pick up during the 10 o'clock to 10:30 window. So we put up 20 available items for that, and people knew they had to pick a pickup time, and it worked so well. We also were doing we wanted to get some donations for a program that we were running, which was an incentive for our EBT shoppers. And we were running low on funds for that. So we decided to utilize OFN, and we created a pay it forward option. So we took our purple pumpkin, which you may or may not have seen earlier, it's our logo. And we created a product with our purple pumpkin, and we called it our pay it forward pumpkin, and people could purchase the pumpkin as a donation to help us keep that program going. So that was received really well. And it was a great feature for us to be able to, again, creatively figure out how to use this platform. Overall, I'm just going to say, I don't know that I would have been, I don't know, there could have been other platforms out there that would have served well, but I'm really happy with the choice that we made with OFN. And it's been great to get to know Lorrie through the process. And I am really glad that we have all of that behind us as we go forward. And I have found that there is a place for this with a farmer's market, even though I was like totally opposed to it. So thank you. Thank you, Lorrie.
That's awesome, Sherry. Yeah, I remember last winter when we were having a conversation about how to manage EBT customers, and you talked about walking out into a blizzard to people's cars to run their EBT. It was so lovely, and I know that your market is so lucky to have you. And I think when we were talking, you had a story about, was his name Noah, who was really one of those like very resistant.
Baker, a big baker in our market, and he was not willing to put all this product up. And I mean, he has extensive types of sourdough bread and pastries and cookies and focaccia and variety of stuff. And for some reason, and part of it had to do with the order cycle. His baking cycle means he needs to know what's going into the rollout for that by, I think he said the latest was noon on Wednesday. And we had decided that we were going to close the order cycles at, I think it was 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night on Thursday. And so our producers had all day Friday to get ready, and we backed it up a little bit, but we couldn't back it all the way up to what Noah was hoping for. So he resisted. And I kept saying to him, you know, customers are asking, where's the rest of the things? And your selection is missing. And finally, he decided to try it. And I don't know what changed on his end, because he was convinced it was going to be a real challenge for him to put all of his products up and figure how to fit it into his production. But he did it. At the end of the season, he sent me a message and he was like, I love OFN. My sales were better this year than ever at the walk-in market. And he was ecstatic. He's on already for taking pre-orders at this point. So he'll have a lot of guaranteed sales as they walk into the market. So yeah, and I got a lot of feedback similar to that from other customers, from customers as well as other vendors who just really appreciated how it worked and how easy it was and how effective it was.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's see. I wanted to ask, we do have a question from the chat that I'd like to field. I just want to ask one more question, and that's about fees. One of the things that people can find daunting about OFN is that there are so many options to do everything. And one of the things you can do is add fees to almost anything you do. You can add enterprise fee as a farmer's market. You can add a little bit to what the producer is offering their stuff at, and you can add shipping fees and credit card, extras and all that kind of stuff. And OFN has a little pie chart in the shop front that shows how those fees are distributed. It's really kind of part of our transparency, because we want kind of everybody to participate in their local food system. So did you end up using any of the fees in OFN to help support your market?
We initially did not use any of the fees. Or no, I'm going to correct that. And I think this is under the umbrella of the things that you're talking about. The only place we put a fee in initially was we asked people to pay $1 every time they use their debit card. And at our in-person market, we would always ask to tack on $2 for processing cards. Figure people are paying that much, if not more, when they go to a foreign ATM. And so that's always worked. So we thought, well, people might make an order on OFN that might only be $15. We don't want to ask them to pay $2 to add on to that, So we thought, okay, we'll do for $1. And well, we were getting swamped by the processing fees. And so we changed that midstream. We communicated with our customers and we just said, we need you to help us absorb this cost. And so we changed that from being a $1 per transaction to a percentage per transaction. And then it covered the costs and we were in good shape with that. So that was really helpful to have that. Our market has a commission with our vendors. And we could have put that into OFN, but then that would have been different than what it would have been shopping at our market. And we wanted to try and basically move our market online and not change it for our customers. It probably would have been a good thing to do that though, because there was extra work on our end to do the aggregation. We aggregated the orders as they came in, packaged up by customer from the producers. And we organized them alphabetically and put it together so we could easily distribute. But it was us who usually just sit and process cards and kind of walk around and play the hosts and all of that at the market every week. We were running in and out to move all that stuff out to the cars as people pulled up. So it was a lot more work for us. And so there was more cost in terms of staffing. So it would have been good to build some of that in. And we will if we ever switch to the hub operation again, because now we know what we're working with.
Awesome. Yeah. And when you were doing the aggregation, you just used the OFN reports to get a report by customer.
Yeah, the reports are incredible. All kinds of permutation, more than I ever would have imagined you could possibly need or want, but you find use for many of them, or at least I did. But you can get reports about what the producer's orders were, what the packing orders are. You can get packing orders by customer, packing orders by producer. You can get payment reports, we were able to set up, because we had a lot of EBT customers, we set up one of the payment options as, EBT pick up or pay at market, because you can't pay with EBT online yet, hopefully soon. So those were the ones I had to run out with in the rain or the snow at times and run those cards. But it also enabled us then to calculate for those EBT customers if they were spending, with the doubling that we had going on in our market, if they were spending $20 on EBT, 10 of it could come from the doubling coupons that we had and 10 from there. So we could make that adjustment and then run out and run their card for the actual amount that they had to pay out of their account. So you could do all kinds of options, you could say pay by check when you pick it up. Pay with our Stripe online. I know with our changeover to the group now, I have one of my producers is put in her Venmo information, and you can pay her through her Venmo before coming to the market. And if you don't, then we won't have it to give to the customer if they have to get that payment in. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility in there as well.
Great, yeah. And so you would physically sort of have a bunch of boxes lined up or bags and look at the report and be able to just assemble and aggregate on the fly based on what the producers brought you, right?
Yeah, our process, this is getting away from the platform, but our process was the producers would bring in en masse their stuff, and it was already packaged by customer. So I pulled out the bag from, Deep Meadow Farm that had all the potatoes and carrots and onions that customer, Susie Jones, was buying that week. And then later Orchard Hill Bread might come in with another bag for Susie Jones. And we had a big thing of tables laid out around the room, and we would go from A to Z, and we would find where were the J's landing that way. And we would put all of Susie Jones stuff in that area so that when a customer then came, so we had that happening from like 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We told our vendors they all needed to be there by 9:30 so that we could get everything out. But then we went through a process of checking, because, they made some mistakes sometimes, and we would find something missing, and we would want to know that before we brought it out to the customer. So we would go through and just check that all of the things that were supposed to be there were there before we started distributing. And customers were coming from, I think it was 10:30 to 1 o'clock. And because we were using the numbered system, if we started to see that we were having too many people to fit into that, we could always add on, another half an hour chunk, or add a few more people onto each half hour if we weren't feeling like we were overly slammed.
Perfect. Yeah. I think we need to give Cammie some time to talk, and I'm looking forward to hearing some more questions. And Sherry, thank you so much. And yeah, please let us know if you have any questions, and I'll put our website address and a contact email in the chat so you can find those. Thank you, Cassidy. Do I need to do anything?
Nope, you can just hang out for just a couple more minutes. We do have some questions. So thank you very much, Lorrie and Sherry.
Okay. All right, great.
One of the questions I think, Sherry, you maybe answered was to describe the physical aggregation process. So Sherry Doyle, I hope that was covered for you, but if you want more, please let us know. Becky asked if there are producers using OFN for both retail and wholesale, and what does the setup process look like for that? And I will just say, Becky, that all of the platforms that are represented on this call do work in all of those market streams and will be featured throughout the rest of this series. So please do come back to hear from more producers. But I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Lorrie.
Yeah, I think we do handle different channels and different kinds of market conditions pretty seamlessly. So we try to minimize the overhead for that.
And I would just add that the vendor producer at our market, who was the one who was already using OFN, was using it for his wholesale, as well as I think he might have been using it for some CSA type use as well. And he recommended it, so must be working.
Maybe we'll get to hear from him in a couple weeks. All right. Any other questions specifically for Lorrie and Sherry? Please, I'll give you another minute to drop those in the chat. And if not, we will move on. I wish I had some good waiting room music, but
I know that would be so great. Yeah.
yeah.
I could say if you're interested in taking a little tour of OFN, we have please reach out. We have a little demo account that you can actually use as a sort of a sandbox, and where you can't break anything. So we're really happy to, let you get your feet wet. People learn in lots of different ways.
Thank you, Lorrie. Yeah, that is a good point. And I do believe so. Open Food Network has a sandbox that you can jump and play in. And then I believe Local Food Marketplace, they will set up a one-on-one consultation with you to go through the platform. And Food for All similarly has the ability to just jump right in and start building your store for free without any kind of payment. So lots of opportunities, but hopefully you could get a little information from us here before you jump too far in, and make sure you can make a decision that works best for you.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to say we're not getting any questions. So let's move on, and we'll come back to you two at the very end. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me. Oh, it's so hard to get all these. Okay, so I believe that means we are ready to move on to our final pair for today. And I believe that Lorrie did make it on. Am I correct? Yep.
I'm here.
Awesome. Okay, let me add you a spotlight. And let me add a spotlight for Kimmy. Okay, so welcome. Our final pair is Kimmy Semick from Food for All, who is with, I'm going to try to pronounce your name correctly, Lorrie Dahlen.
That's correct.
Correct, awesome. Who is joining us from the Marshfield Farmers Market out in Massachusetts. So I'm gonna hand it over to you two to take it away. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Cassidy. For first off for hosting this, and then secondly for inviting Food for All to be a part of it. I did want to give a shout out to my fellow Oregonian, so Amy at Local Food Marketplace, and Lorrie I'm from Open Food Network as well. I know that we've interacted here in our hometown of Bend, Oregon. So. And with me today is also Pammy Monet. So Pammy has joined Food for All. She is our customer outreach and onboarding specialist. And Pammy comes to us from Oregon State University's extension program. She was working on the small farm extension program. And then she herself is actually also a farmer. So a little bit about Food for All. We started we're based here in Central Oregon, and we started in 2016 working with local producers to better understand what their business needs were in regards to connecting with customers. And that was, not only connecting with customers online, but connecting with customers in person. And so in 2018, we launched our first product set for producers to sell direct to consumers online, and then also to have an integrated point of sale system so that they could take credit card transactions and manage orders for their in-person transactions at farmers markets. And so since then, we've kind of have been adding more features and functions to Food for All. We have enabled not only direct to consumer transactions, but direct to wholesale buyer transactions. And then most recently, we have launched what we're calling the Food for All Marketplace, which is our hub technology. And that technology was really born out of COVID. So, as Amy was saying, as well as Lorrie, with COVID, we saw a tremendous growth in not only the interest in local food, but the the number of vendors using our platform and the transaction volume on our platform. But we heard a very specific need, and it was the need for aggregators, and farmers markets are a great example of that. But the need was for these aggregators to offer their buyers an easy way to place an order, a single order from multiple producers in one transaction, but then giving the power to the producer to be able to manage their products, their prices, their inventory, and easily manage that order within the flow of all the other orders that they're getting from maybe through their website or from their wholesale buyers. And so we added a feature set that is a really lightweight marketplace feature that enables a marketplace manager to go out and invite different producers into their marketplace through the Food for All platform, and then manage those users and manage the orders that are flowing through that marketplace. So what I thought I would do is just share with you a quick demonstration. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So what we did is, at the time during COVID, we had a large number of farmers markets using our technology more in a way where they were putting up, as I think it was Lorrie was describing, they were putting up a web page that then just connected individual producers or buyers with individual producers with different e-commerce platforms. And that's initially how folks were using Food for All. But we took that, we took the challenges that these farmers markets were experiencing with trying to manage all of those orders, and created an entire feature set in order to create more efficiency, not only for the marketplaces, but for the vendors themselves. And one of the things that we heard from producers as we were interviewing the different producers and marketplaces about how we should develop this feature set is that producers said, you know what, I'm not interested in participating in a marketplace where my products are side by side with somebody else's similar product, because it becomes a race to the bottom on price. And so what we did is we're presenting our producers' stories first, but enabling that buyer to quickly and easily find the producers and the products they need in order to complete that, in order to fill their shopping cart and to complete their transaction. So here, what we have, so I'm just in our demo site right now, but what we have is something called the Marshfield Marketplace. And within the marketplace, there's a variety of producers within different categories. And as you can see, the producer is presenting their logo. And then as a buyer, I can go in and do a search for different types of products. So here, I'm simply looking for eggs. And now I can see all of the producers who have eggs within the marketplace. And then I can go in and actually look at those producers' products. So I can read about High Desert Gardens. I can see what products they have related to eggs. I can add those to the shopping cart. And if I'm really interested, I'm taken by their story, and maybe I want to view all of their products. So I can see everything that High Desert Gardens is offering, and then choose to add more to my shopping cart if I so choose. And then I can easily return to the marketplace and then search, for whatever that next product is that I'm interested in. And so it's beef. And so now I can see all of the producers who have beef. I can view their products, and then I can add their products to the shopping cart. And so when we're looking at the products within the marketplace, again, it's the producer who's setting the price. They're managing their product inventory, and they're managing whether or not their product is displayed on this marketplace. And then the buyer has the ability to easily have a single checkout for all of those different products. And the marketplace manager is then determining what the different fulfillment options are for each for the products within their marketplace. So with this marketplace, there is a pickup option, and then there's a couple of delivery options. So with Food for All, you can integrate a third-party delivery service into your checkout, and then have that third-party delivery service determine what their fees are, or if you offer your own delivery service, you can also charge a fee associated with that. And then the user can simply select whatever delivery service or pickup service that they would like, and then proceed to checkout. So here, this, the buyer is buying an entire beef share, which looks like 100 pounds. Maybe that's a little bit too much for their purchase, so they can trim their cart. And then as a marketplace, you can determine what the different types of payment options that you want to provide to your customers. So they can pay with credit card, with check, pay in person, and then they can mark their order for SNAP or EBT payment on site. And as everyone else is saying, we're looking forward to when we can connect into that online SNAP and EBT payment processing system. And so from here, once a buyer places an order, that order comes in through the marketplace, and then the order is split according to whatever producers are participating in it. So High Desert Gardens will receive an order notification and will receive the order actually within their account so that they can fulfill that order. And then the marketplace itself is also receiving the order notification and then has access to all of those order details so that they can fulfill the customer's order and then run reports based upon the order itself. So the second thing that I'm going to show you just really quickly before we turn it over to Lorrie is what the what the back end looks like and how easy it is to manage the different sellers within the marketplace. So as a marketplace manager, you have all of your sellers in one place and are able to really easily manage their participation in the marketplace. And then you've got the information that you need in order to see what the order volume is for the producers within the marketplace. Has that producer accepted your invitation into the marketplace? Are payouts enabled, and do they have products available? And then you can easily manage the terms of your relationship with that producer. So you as a marketplace manager can determine if you are going to take a percentage of the transaction in order to fund your operations. And you can determine that based upon each producer participating in your marketplace. So when an order comes in, the payment is then split in between the different vendors. If you have, the system looks at the different payment terms that you have set up with the vendors. If you are taking a percentage of the payment, that's deposited directly into your marketplace account. And then the proceeds are then deposited into each of the vendors' account. And so, again, we built this feature set based upon feedback that we had received from the different marketplace managers and how they would like to be able to manage their marketplace. So Lorrie Dahlen was one of our key contributors to helping us develop this feature set. So Lorrie started with Food for All, as we've discussed, just having a website that then connected each individual vendor into an e-commerce platform. And then after we were able to launch this feature set, Lorrie was then able to take advantage of that and is now using this to manage her marketplace. So with that, Lorrie, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about your journey into how you selected Food for All, and what are the things that you really value about how Food for All helps you with your farmers market.
Okay, thank you, Cami. My name is Lorrie Dahlen. I run the Marshfield Farmers Market, completely unrelated to Marshfield Marketplace that Cami just showed, completely different state. I'm in Massachusetts. I started as a small organic farm selling at the Marshfield Farmers Market. I've also been a customer for the farmers market, and in 2012 they asked me to run the market, and we have a year-round winter and summer market. In 2020, we already did have a service where people could order through this service from vendors who had signed up and get their order delivered. Typically, she would get 1 or 2 deliveries per week. In March of 2020, every market around us suddenly closed. The Marshfield Farmers Market decided we were going to try to stay open because our vendors were desperate. All of a sudden, they had no outlet. You know, they all had been at winter farmers markets, and now they're all closing. So we chose not to have a walk-in market, but we wanted to do delivery. So we went with this vendor that had been offering this, and we got everybody signed up, and people would place orders, and we got up to 300 orders a week in 2 weeks. The trouble is she couldn't aggregate it. Even though this was her business, she actually had no idea how to get it from orders to 300 well-organized, correct delivered orders. I worked really hard. I helped her out with all that. I ended up basically answering all the customer questions, all the vendor questions about the software. It was very difficult as a vendor to utilize, you know, to edit things. It was very frustrating. And also as a customer, there were problems that were very frustrating, and things just wouldn't get fixed. So we were trying to help her out to do this as a local gal, small company. And I said, look, this is going to move rapidly from everybody wanting delivery and paying money to be delivered to people want to pick it up, because at least in our community, they're not going to have the money to constantly pay for delivery. People are going to want to pick up in a safe way. And she didn't want anything to do with that. So I said, okay. So I went out and I researched and came up with 4 potential solutions for my vendors. And I was looking at it from a vendor perspective, a customer perspective, and a market perspective. And I presented them all to my vendors. And one of the things that I really was interested in is fees. So I presented all the pros and cons for these 4 things. Food for All was one of them. And my market vendors are the ones who chose. They voted who they wanted, and they chose Food for All. And I was thrilled because that was the one I was hoping they would pick as a market manager, as well as a vendor, because I'm both. And you know, we got them all online within 24 hours. We actually had a site up and working in 48 hours from when we hit the go button to say Food for All is the way we're going to go. And we started taking orders. And I used to be in aerospace and engineering, so I'm pretty organized. And I simply would print out the orders, lay them out. We had someone who donated boxes, their totes. Just lay them out. I tell each vendor, get your what's the name of it? The fulfillment report, and walk down with your stuff, drop them in the bins for each person in anywhere from 3 to 30 minutes, depending on how many orders and how big your orders were. Each vendor was done, and basically all I had to do was go down and check and cross-check to make sure everything was in there. because yes, things get missed, people make mistakes. Additionally, we created a system where items that had to be frozen, like meat, or refrigerated, like a soup or something, we could put those things in the refrigerators and freezers, and we had little tags so that we wouldn't miss them. When the customer would come and check in, we would simply check the order, add the frozen and cold items, cross-check that we have the right customer, and put the items in their trunk. Absolutely nobody touched anything. Everything was prepaid for, with the exception of SNAP. And on SNAP, we would go and have them come in and we would transact them. And we knew exactly how much everybody was paying for everything in advance. If we had a vendor like drop 6 dozen eggs on the way in, they could reverse the eggs for those customers that now couldn't get their eggs. Not that we had that particular problem happen, but there was ways to fix mistakes. So we did this, but customers told us, we really want a single payment. Instead of paying for each individual vendor, we want it easier. So I worked with Cammie, I gave her all our wishes. She did really great. She delivered on my wishes. And the wishes she couldn't, she explained why, and we were able to transform it into an alternative wish that came true. So I want to say, first off, Cammie has been the most amazing developer to work with. Customer service, anything I asked, sometimes it was the same hour, sometimes it was the same day. At a minimum, she'd get back to me with what or why. Most of the time it was already solved. But if it couldn't be, she would tell me a time frame when it could be solved or figured out. It's been amazing. In the end, we've ended up with an aggregated, which is the new marketplace. My vendors didn't have to do anything except check a box when I sent them their request to accept. And my customers, now that they have a single checkout, they are thrilled. They really like the process. We find we're getting bigger orders now because people not only can see other vendors, they can explore without any risk. They can add and take away from their cart at any time. They can explore all of a single vendor's items at once very easily and kind of check out that new kind of bread or whatever it is. And my SNAP customers, in Massachusetts, there's a special program called HIP, where the first $40 in a month that is fresh produce, they actually get that $40 right back on their card. And the market, in addition, has a special program, which is sponsored by others, where we then give them an additional $10 towards farm products. And that could be eggs, honey, meat. And we have just recently been able to add another $10 of anything SNAP eligible. So our SNAP customers can now get $60 worth of fresh food from the farmers market at basically no cost off of their SNAP EBT card. So they love it. We get so much thanks for all the stuff that we're doing. And we have a lot of elderly in our community who are very nervous about going into a live market. We constantly hear, we couldn't do this without you. I can't get into my wheelchair easily. This whole process is so simple, and they're very appreciative. Additionally, some of my most skeptical vendors produce, actually. One of my produce vendors, very old school, no technology. He got on finally. And now he loves it. He made so much more money per market because he had both, and people would pre-order specific things and then come to the market in addition and then buy other stuff. So it's been really good. And fees are super low. I mean, that's been a huge huge factor. Basically, the strike fee gets passed on to the customer, which is very small, but customer is only buying it once, whereas a vendor would have it 30, 40, 50 times. So having it go to the customer really helps. And I have it set up so that my market vendors who are in my live market, they get the virtual market at no additional cost because they've already paid me a flat fee for the season. Those who are not able to be in the live market, they pay a 5% of sales fee. And that just happens automatically. I put in the numbers in the chart. I can adjust it instantaneously. Everything happens automatically. The fees go right into the market account. It's just so easy. The other thing I'll say is
I'm gonna need to stop you, Lorrie. We're just it's been great to hear everything, all the great things you have to say about Food for All. I do want to make sure we hit these questions and then have time for the rest of the group to come back.
Sure. Sorry.
That's fine. No, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Can you guys explain a little bit about how the SNAP customers use their benefits with Food for All?
They simply choose SNAP EBT at checkout. You can choose either, for our market, you can either choose pay by credit card or pay by SNAP EBT. We don't allow people to just say they're going to pay at the market. An individual vendor can do that if they want to hold an order for their customer, but the aggregated one, they choose either SNAP EBT, and basically they have to make a promise to pay, and it's worked out really well. We've only had one instance where someone didn't come and we were able to get the goods back to the farmers.
Great. It sounds like you have answered Taylor's question. Did you have something to add to that, Cammie?
Yeah, I was just going to say that we're not processing that payment online, but we do hope to do so in the future once USDA gets beyond their pilot programs.
Definitely. I'm sure that everybody, we are all anxiously awaiting for there to be online SNAP beyond Walmart and Amazon.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Not seeing any other questions come in. So I'm going to say, let's bring everybody back. Let me see if I can do something.
I will say, as a farmer, this last year when I did my taxes, it was the easiest time I've ever had having used Food for All. It was the fastest I've ever done my taxes because I had everything at my fingertips.
Well, that is an excellent plug. And I would say Amy did just offer up that local food marketplace will be offering online SNAP processing in early 2022. So congratulations to you. Okay, so we have everybody back: Lorrie, Sherry, Cammie, Lorrie, Amy, Liz. Thank you all so much for sharing your experience. I'm going to open it up to the whole group. If you have questions and you'd like to unmute yourself, you are welcome to do that, or you're welcome to put a chat into the chat box there. I will kick it off with one question for all three of the market managers, which I want to say, first of all, I hope you guys have a support group, because it just feels like, I'm sure you have lots of stories about all the vendors you deal with that I'm sure could make a very charming movie one day, hopefully. I would love it if you could just, each of you, if you could tell me what, if there is one feature on the platform that you use that really has increased your efficiency, what could you describe what that feature is and how it has made your operation more efficient? I open that up to anyone who wants to jump in.
I guess I'll go. One of the things that we started using in 2020 was the route management. So, when COVID hit, I mean, we were already, poised because we were using the platform, but, the number of orders, the number of customers, I mean, it just exploded like overnight. And we decided that we needed to start offering, besides adding more pickup locations, we needed to have home delivery. And so because we're spread out over, 5 counties, we really needed something to kind of keep us on track and manage and make sure that we were like, do these things make sense? And LFM has this, great route management. And I mean, it just, because the first week I was like, I have no idea how we're going to do this. And then, it was like, oh, this is great. So and they actually offered that to all of their customers last year at no cost. I mean, it was just this huge benefit and time saver for us. Absolutely.
This is Sherry from Vermont. I'll say that reports that we were able to pull out of our OFN system helped in a number of ways in terms of the reporting that we need to do for our crop cash grant that we get from NOFA Vermont. And it also helped immensely with the whole reimbursement piece that we have to do for the vendors with all of the alternative, I call it funny money, that comes into the market every week. We have the tokens for EBT, we have the tokens for debit shoppers, we have the crop cash coupons, we have another state program that gives us some money. So the OFN reports really helped me streamline that. We worked harder getting all of that food aggregated and out to the trucks, but boy, when I came back and sat down at the office, things went much more smoothly to pull all of that together. So that was a huge help.
I'm with Food for All, but
Yep, please do.
The reports definitely, the ability to get each order, to have all the order information, we can just check off all the boxes. It's basically a print and go situation. And then the ease of being able to fix issues, like a farmer didn't have carrots, enough carrots for everybody. I can refund a customer very easily. So those are two things that just totally made my life so much easier.
Excellent, thank you. Amy, another SNAP follow-up question for you. Will SNAP users be eligible for delivery?
They are eligible for delivery, but you can't use SNAP funds to pay for delivery fees, in and amongst many other things that you can't use SNAP funds to pay for. So yeah, you can absolutely offer delivery to folks that want to use their SNAP benefits. That will require what's called a split tender to process payment, where the customer, if you do charge delivery, we'll have an option, and we already do have an option for you to make delivery fee free for SNAP users, so that you may not even need to collect any payment outside of the SNAP payment, but it will be a requirement to enable the split tender transaction. So part of the payment would get processed via credit card or debit, and then part of it via online SNAP. Yep.
Awesome, thank you. It looks like Taylor is excited for that. Okay, not a lot more questions coming in, so I'll give you another one. It sounds like overall you've had pretty good experience and feedback from your customers, but I would just like you to give me a little bit more information about what are the users of your markets saying, both the folks that have both from the vendor side and from the consumer side. Have you found that overall it's all working out pretty well for all of the audiences involved? And I don't know if Liz, if you want to kick it off again.
Sure. Yeah, since we've been doing this for 5 years, and I think we have people that love going to the traditional farmers market and use us when they know they can't get there. We do have diehards who shop every single week. I just think that it offers a really great option for people, and because we are spread out over a wide area. We have areas that don't even have the traditional market. So, it's really, really, I think, good for our customer base. And then, on the producer side, they just love it. It's simple, it's streamlined, it's all driven by what they want to do. And but yeah, just no complaints at all, actually.
Great, thank you. Do you want to go, Sherry?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, I would say that while there was adjustment period because we've never done any kind of online system prior to this, our vendors all ended up really happy with the platform. And I think I can tell that by the response that I'm getting now for those who are continuing and using it in the group mode and as their own producer store. And what was also kind of cool was that when orders were placed, and I'm sure this is not just in OFN, but it's in other platforms as well, there's a place where customers can put in a note. And we got so many thank you notes and, appreciation. And it was really wonderful because, we are the sort of the, not the behind the scenes folks, but, we sit at the market table, we go around, we organize things, et cetera. But, market managers can be somewhat invisible at farmers markets. But I think that all of our customers ended up with a much greater appreciation of what it takes to make this happen every week through what we were doing last year. And I think appreciated it both from us as the organizers, managers, as well as from the vendors. So it was just really nice to make those connections and see the gratitude that was really out there for the work that was in, it was our commitment to make sure that you could continue to receive this food, that our producers could continue to have an outlet for it, as someone else was mentioning. I think it was Lorrie for Marshfield, like all of a sudden it was gone. And what are you going to do? So yeah, it was great on both ends, and ours too, for managing it.
Excellent, thank you.
For us, vendors, a lot of vendors have their own site, like bakers and things, they would have their own little website. And so they would get on this and at first days like, well, why should we? And I'd explain it to them. And now they keep their website for stray orders, but they use the Food for All site for setting up for multiple farmers markets so that people can pre-order for farmers markets, because they kind of have a set menu that they do, and they'll change the menu each week, but they'll use the same one for the different markets. And they just find it's easier to have it all in one place because they can do a fulfillment all at once. They can figure out everything they have to start baking the day before and when. So the vendors have liked that. And even when they go to other markets that are trying to do aggregate, they use the Food for All as their aggregating source, even if the market isn't doing that. And in terms of the customers, once we went to the aggregated, the customers were just so happy, really the ease of it, being able to do searches and find items that they wanted. Being able to write a note that the vendors get and I get, sometimes they write me a note like, are you okay with delivering to me? And I will deliver it to Marshfield, and we will also deliver for Snap. And we just do a slip order because I don't have a Wi-Fi, one that's enabled by cellular. I don't have that for my market. We just have Wi-Fi enabled. So I have to do a phone call in slip, which is fine. I'll do that. And, very few Snap orders end up being delivery. They're usually wanting to save their money. They don't want to pay a delivery fee. They'd rather come and get it. And then as a manager, I think being able to manage the sellers, I have some sellers that come every other week, and some of them want to do virtual every week, and some want to do virtual only on the weeks that they're there because they can't be in two places at once. So I can check and uncheck boxes really easily as to who's coming and who's not going to be able to have virtual orders taken for the week. And that capability has been really great. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Do you want to put another plug to our group here? Please, if you have questions, feel welcome to ask those questions. I'm going to give you guys a tough one. Is there anything that you wish the software that you use had? What's missing that you wish it had that you just don't have?
Amy just told me we're going to get it in the spring, so there's nothing. Yeah, that would have been it. I mean, for us to be able to have the ability to offer Snap and just really streamline the process, because I mean, like I said, we are extremely lean. We don't have, a physical presence at all, and so yeah, that just sort of adds to our ability to continue to be lean. And yeah, that was that was going to be it. But if I think of something else, I'll tag on at the end. But yeah, that would really be it.
Oh, do you, I see Lori's got her hand up and Sherry's unmuted. Lori, you want to go for it?
Sure. So the one thing that I would really like, and it is coming, but we don't have it quite yet. So I'd like to have each item that is offered be tagged as either Snap eligible or ineligible, only because when Snap people order, some of them don't know, or some of them actually try to sneak like flowers in, things like that. And it just makes my job a little harder. And especially because then they have to remember to bring either cash or a credit card. So if things are pre-tagged, then there can be a Snap total and a credit card total that they could pay the credit card total in advance, and then I'm not having to collect that. So that's my only dream that's missing, and Cami is working on that. It's kind of in the next round. So that's it.
Yeah, I was just going to add that USDA is doing a pilot project, and once they're complete with that, I think they'll enable any platform to open up and connect in with their online processing. That would then enable, as Amy was saying, the split tender. So determining what items are eligible, what items are not eligible, and then presenting the ability to pay by Snap and then also by credit card for ineligible items.
Awesome. Thank you. And Sherry?
Well, I would echo Snap as, and all the features that would be important to go with that, as all of us are saying, because that was a big part of our market last year, and it typically is. And I would just say too that there, I sent Lorrie a wish list at the end of our season last year, what were sort of those, somewhat annoying little things that could possibly be changed that might make things a little bit easier. None of them were huge by any means, But many of them are already done or were not, they weren't that big of a deal and whatnot. But yeah, a number of them were. There's one feature that when you close out an order cycle, you just click a button and it sends the pick list to all of your producers. So it says, notify producers. And one of the things Lori and I were just talking about this actually the other day, it's like, send them both the pick list and the pack list, because the pack list is coming. I can send all of those pack lists out, but otherwise and that's all individual. I'm relying on them to go to the right place to get their pack lists, and they didn't always go to the right place. So if both pick list and pack list could go out to producers when you hit that notify button, that would be a great thing. And Lori might jump in and tell us where that's at.
Yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of people are talking about, and I feel like there's some good energy behind it. This is really how the system gets improved is, people have an idea, and I mean, we're all in the biz too, right? So we pretty much go like, yeah, that would be really cool. How do we do that? So it's a little bit of the quandary of, the way our model works in terms of shared work and nonprofits, where sometimes things are slower than we want them to be, but we also are pretty good at coming up with workarounds and integrations. So hopefully we'll have something for Sherry before her market really gets going this winter.
Excellent, thank you. And I would say to everybody else who's on here, if there is a feature that you find, that you're missing in your life, let us know, because this is a sandbox for you to get those features out there to the people that can actually put them into action. Lori, what can I?
So this isn't actually something that's missing, but something that we have that addresses the problem of a vendor who needs more time. Like, our orders close a day and a half before pickup, but especially our bakers, they're little guys. They need to go out and buy their goods, and they need to know how much flour they're going to go buy to make and to start making some of their stuff. They can actually close their particular store earlier than the whole market closes, and it'll show them that. It'll show our customers that on the site, so that they get everything they need, and we don't have to accommodate. We don't have to move everything back so far, and that's been a really good flexible option for the market.
Excellent, thank you. All right, okay, I'll give you one last question. And the opportunity to plug for your platforms. I know that you have all said really excellent things about the customer service, but be real. What's been great and what's been awful about customer service working with your particular platform?
I honestly have not a single negative thing about customer service. I mean, I am floored by the service, and my vendors repeat that to me when they've had an issue. I can do an email copying Cami and the vendor, or the vendor will get to them directly. And like I said, usually it's minutes, and my vendors all report back to me. They just can't believe the customer service. So I have nothing negative. I mean, I bow. To Cami.
Do you want to go for it, Sherry?
Sure. I can't come up with anything negative to say in terms of the support that I feel has been there for us, and for me, for my co-manager, and for our vendors. As I said, there is this tremendous user guide that's there that can answer pretty much every question that you may have, some that you may not even know you had. But when you run into something that you just can't quite find there, you know, Lori's responses or others that are at that support email or hello email, I'm not sure they're always Lorrie, but the responses are there. And, you know, I had vendors that were having some struggles with things, and then I ended up seeing responses from Lorrie to the vendor and to me, so that I was in the loop and knew what was going on when I didn't even know there was a problem. So I just can't say enough about, you know, how responsive they were. They were, I don't know, I'm still sometimes puzzled by how it all works or who's all doing all that work.
You're not supposed to know. It's all just behind
yeah, right, behind
yeah.
the curtain.
Yeah, it's a global team of people waiting to answer questions.
Yeah, I hate to disappoint, but I can't really think of anything that's negative about, you know, LFM. I mean, I love the fact that, I mean, you know, Lorrie said she's got people all over the world, but we have, you know, access to people that are in different time zones. So, you know, they kind of stagger their availability. You know, again, I know that Amy and Nick, if I've got something that's like kind of late in the day for me, they're still at the office. Stephanie, she is up in Wisconsin. And so, you know, if it's before, you know, what I feel is appropriate, you know I can bother her with it. But yeah, I mean, just the responsiveness and the fact that they know the business and they understand, you know, what the questions are and maybe why I'm asking for it, or maybe understanding how it's going to make my life easier, and you know, than everyone else's. So yeah, sorry to disappoint, but they're just wonderful.
Not a disappointment at all, Liz. I'm happy that you guys are also happy. And then Love Fest and everybody's just feeling good about their choices. That's all I want for everybody in life. So we are getting close to the end here, so I'm going to start to wrap us up. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much to all of our guests. Thank you to Amy and Liz, Lorrie and Sherry, and Cami and Lorrie.